Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 2 of Trending in Hollywood. Boy, oh boy, do we have a lot to talk about this week. Lots of cancellations, and I don't mean TV shows, as well as many other things like Disney Plus news and Black Widow. It's so committed to going theatrically. So we're going to bring in Demetri Panos right now, and he's going to share his viewpoints on some of these topics with me, because that's what the world needs right now. Two more middle-aged white guys talking about news and entertainment. That's right. Here's Demetri Panos joining me right now.
Hey, movie fans, what's going on? Hey, I'm complimented by the fact that you called me middle-aged. So I thank you. Thank you very much. Also, I have to start this off with a disclaimer. I erroneously reported yesterday on Twitter that I was trending in Hollywood. I forgot to mention I'm on trending in Hollywood. So I trend nowhere. Except on the show. So I just wanted to set the record straight that I put that out there. You know, you have to apologize when you say something that's wrong.
Yeah, so. I know. You got to take ownership for your words, right?
Yeah, or else I'll be canceled.
That's right. All right. Segue into the first topic. All right. So Demetri just shared this with me before the show started, and we'll start with this, the original thing that led to this follow-up. Here we go. Mandalorian star Gina Carrano fired amid social media controversy. Demetri, what'd you do? What happened?
Well, she's well, I guess the world found out, and I don't know why we all need to know this about everybody. She's a Republican, and she shared on social media implying that being a Republican is like being Jewish during the Holocaust. So, forgetting that she works for Lucasfilm, which, i.e., you're working for Disney. I mean, I'm not surprised that we have people who feel that they use social media as this platform, and you can understand how some people might take offense to this kind of erroneous kind of reporting, because I mean, to say you're a Republican is like being Jewish during the Holocaust. This is a person who you can't write that, because it means you're daft. I mean, seriously, it means you're daft. And your words matter, and you feel that being a Republican is more important than what actually happened in history, because I don't see anybody hunting Gina Carrano down to get rid of her only after you say something that's dumb. And I also don't believe that this is cancel culture. I think this is accountability culture. You know, just because there are certain people who apparently seem to be able to get away with doing anything they want, including like murder, inciting riots, we can't get away with saying daft things like that, which is good. So you have to think about what you write. And I just think what she wrote was really not smart.
Yeah, and I think, it's funny because people are tying this conversation together with the social media comments from a couple of months ago, which was, her stance on trans rights and what she said and how she felt about the pronouns and things of that nature. That is something that is completely different than this conversation. So it's kind of weird to see people trying to combine the two. But I will say it did serve as a good warning for her. Like, if people are upset about this, maybe you shouldn't be going into the extreme and comparing Jewish people, Holocaust, and Republicans. Probably not a good thing, considering how much heat you got for something else, where you at least, I'm not saying everyone feels this way, but there's probably more people in the country as a whole who are not as familiar with trans rights and what it means to be trans, so I can understand the disconnect.
Sure.
But when you say things like this is sort of like, nah, especially when you're working for the Mouse House, when you're working for family-friendly entertainment, little girls are looking up to you. You cannot say stupid shit like this.
Not on social media.
No.
Like, do it in private, do it amongst your friends off of social media, I guess. But what you're saying, though, too, it's a pattern. So I think that Disney sees it as a pattern. And because of her celebrity, she was probably given more leeway than the average schmuck on the street. Like, if anybody else would say the stuff she previously said in another corporation, in another business, they probably would have been sent to human resources and mandated to take like sensitivity training or something to that effect.
Right.
Because of her celebrity, they probably let the other things kind of slide and kind of like, let's just kind of ignore it because she said that. She said some false things about she's an anti-masker apparently as well. So you kind of let that slide. Personally, I didn't know any of this crap.
Right.
And like, I shouldn't know any of this crap. It's not important for me to know what side of the political party you're on. Just do your freaking job, right? Build up your fans. Like, it's not like, the way I kind of look at it is, you should be happy that you have a job and get paid really well. She lost everything. Yeah. She was about to start a spin-off series of The Mandalorian because the fan base actually liked her and her character. So just shut up. Just keep your mouth shut and reap in the dollars that you're making. Be thankful you have a job. It's not important for me to know that you're a Republican. It really isn't. I could care less. But now you made me care and you said something stupid. You should be accountable for your words. And this isn't a free speech kind of thing now. Like, again, we're not allowed to say fire in a movie theater, okay? Unless there's actually a fire in a movie theater. Because you can get held accountable for that. So when you say stupid things, yeah, you have the freedom to say it. But you should accept the consequences when people come down on you for saying things that are offensive, they're not true, and they're harmful to people in general.
Yeah.
There,
and
that's it. Sorry.
Oh, no, it's okay. I just wanted to say, like, I think this is part of a problem, like a much larger problem, though, within Hollywood, is that I think we look to celebrities in a weird way to sort of like influence our thoughts and opinions when it comes to a lot of things politically. And, that has kind of, not this past year, obviously, but in the past, there has been certain times where that has really backfired on them. And I think that's a bigger problem and a much bigger conversation, is that just like with politics, where they say religion should stay out of politics, I think when it comes to entertainment, politics should stay out of entertainment. I think you're there to entertain. You're there to do a job, as you put so eloquently. I don't really care where you stand on certain things. Like it's something that I'm saying as someone who leans towards liberal, but ultimately still gets annoyed when everyone comes out of, the woodwork and basically has an opinion on something. I think we have to stop alienating people who are different, because isn't the whole point of politics right now and the country is healing and kind of understanding and listening to people on both sides? The way Gina's doing it is not the correct way, but I think we need to kind of put our differences aside and start listening to one another. And I think that's an important thing for Hollywood to take note of moving forward. We've had a lot of people fight against. And I know because Trump was such a special case because he was so, such a terrible
Divisive.
dictator. I mean, I hate to say
Sure.
it, but like he just had this cult following that like any celebrity that spoke up in his favor was automatically like considered like a joke. We weren't taking, but we need to move away from that now and kind of have conversations. So that's what I'm hoping Hollywood either stays out of politics completely, which I know will never happen, but hopefully have a little bit of an open dialogue and kind of set the ground rules as to what you can and cannot say.
Yeah, and it's as you said, Scott. Hollywood has been political. The Academy Awards have been used as a soapbox.
Oh,
where
yeah.
actors have gotten on their soapbox to, whether it be Richard Gere or whether it be Marlon Brando, who did not only get on a soapbox, he just didn't go, and such. So, but again, I just look back at Hollywood and everything, and we didn't know what Humphrey Bogart's. I could be completely wrong because I just never pay attention to this shit unless it's right in front of me, like it is today. I didn't care what Lauren Bacall. I didn't know what she or Barbara Stanwyck did or Henry Fonda. I didn't know, and I don't care. You could read books and documentaries, but today, like Tom Cruise, I think is a perfect example.
Yeah.
He got canceled because he jumped on a couch, not necessarily because he's a Scientologist. Now, seriously,
no,
right?
it's true. Yeah.
So I'm not into Scientology. Whatever. Am I a fan of Tom Cruise? Yeah. The guy's had a great career. So what if he's a Scientologist? So long as he's not hurting anybody, which he doesn't appear to be. He seems very passionate even to today, but we know he's a Scientologist not because he's going out necessarily stumping on it. It's because media has told us. Okay, I'm fine. But think about why he got canceled in the first place. But you could still be a fan. I don't care that Gina Carrano is a Republican. She can hold fundraisers for all I care. I liked her character in The Mandalorian. We have to be held accountable for our words.
Yes.
And when you compare being a Republican, which is a party, and you compare it to the Holocaust,
Yep.
That is it's just stupid and dumb, and you're obtuse to a lot of things, because I don't hate you because you're a Republican now. I could have cared less. I hate you because you said something really stupid and hurtful and just plain old dumb. And it means that you don't pay attention to what history really is. So,
Yeah.
it's too bad.
I think, everyone, she came out today and, this was the follow-up kind of article that came out. She hits back at critics after the firing. And, it's interesting to me because, her message essentially, as quoted in this article, says, it's about fear, right? It's fear mongering. It's sending out a message of hope. Like if they don't listen to us, if they don't agree with us, we're canceled. That's not what this is about. And I think it's getting very, very confused.
It's conflated. Yeah. Sorry.
And it's like they can't cancel us if we don't let them. And it's kind of like, yeah, you can, because if you don't have a career, your words have consequences. This is the bottom line, which I don't understand why we haven't understood at this point. And this goes for like critics, right? Like we had this other conversation this week about Carey Mulligan versus the Variety reporter because he said something about her in the review and she didn't like it, and they both kind of like had their own little like back and forth about it.
Mm-hmm.
There's consequences. That guy will not be talking to Carey Mulligan ever again.
Right.
That's
Rightfully
what
so.
happened. And it's his opinion, and he's okay to have that opinion. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's a totally different thing when you're getting paid millions upon millions of dollars in family-friendly entertainment to say Jews, Holocaust, Nazis, Republicans in the same sentence.
And let's the article that you just had up, Scott.
Yeah.
And again, it just need be pointed out. It also mentions like it has become political because that numbnuts Ted Cruz got into it now. Like saying, oh, she's being canceled. It's like, okay, there's another idiot who's not held accountable for what he says, period. And again, this isn't about cancellation. It's just being held accountable for what you say. And someday I hope Ted Cruz is going to be held accountable for what he has said. You can't, now it's turned into this political thing, but it had nothing to do with politics. It had to do with a private company who's like, listen, we can't abide by this. And we let you get away with some other things that were questionable, but now Jews and Holocaust, and you're comparing yourself to a Jew during the Holocaust, that's kind of not, that's not cool. And, sorry. And listen, Disney has a lot riding. They had a lot riding on The Mandalorian. And they knew that people particularly liked her character so much they were going to give her her own show. So it's not like they weren't giving her, it's not like they weren't rewarding her for her performance, which they were. It just comes a point you just can't be obtuse to you just can't say stuff like that and think you can get away, and think that it's free speech and think that you can get away with it. Because I can't, you don't even say it. Like something like that, it's not like she didn't say it as a joke,
right?
She really meant it. So,
yeah, and this is going to kind of like segue our topic into the second topic what we're going to talk about, which is this. This is Joss Whedon being canceled pretty much this week, and this is obviously not a new story, right? This is something that we heard about for a while now. Ray Fisher, who was in Justice League, came out and started these allegations first. It then went to people like Jason Momoa jumping on board, saying that he stands behind him. And then I think even Gal Gadot came out. She was almost like afraid to really speak up about it. She's like, stuff happened, but like I brought it up and I addressed it on set and we kind of like moved on from it. She was almost too afraid to kind of go into detail about it. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, we started getting member after member of the Buffy cast coming out, basically having a story about how he has abused his power over and over and over again. And I mean, it was just like the floodgates opened up. It's like one person came out and then everyone else started, piling on. And this is the difference now when we go about cancel culture, about being canceled, and versus accountability for what you're saying. So canceling someone right now is justified when you have so many people come out and speak out, and you have numerous cases, and that it ties back into accountability. So you got a bunch of people claiming it's not a single person. There's a bunch of accounts. You have now, what do we have? Like 6-7 people who we know about, not to mention all the people who are probably going to come out in the next couple of months about this. So that's cancellation, and why cancellation that deserves to be canceled. The problem with cancel culture in general, in my opinion, is that there could be a story that comes out, like the Ansel Elgort story that came out a couple months ago.
Right.
Where like some random person posted on Twitter about some like Instagram or Snapchat conversation. All of a sudden, like her account was deleted. There was no information after that. We don't know any truth of it. So that's the problem with cancel culture, is the fact that some people actually should be canceled and other people are just becoming victims of it without any notability behind it, no credibility, no research.
No verification period.
No verification. So what do you think about this Joss Whedon thing? I know you and I have talked about this a lot of times.
It's a roller coaster. Listen, Joss Whedon fan all the way back to Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Firefly, and you never heard about any of this back then. And for Charisma Carpenter to come out with this, if I am correct, she was on the Howard Stern show some years ago because he was a huge Buffy fan. She's had a challenged life. I believe she had a sexual assault way back, and she's trying to get along, and I'm sure that this wasn't easy for her to say. I guess too, the other thing is that then you have Michelle Trachtenberg come out as well, and today there was even an addendum to what she said, and basically she was saying Joss Whedon wasn't even allowed to be alone with her and address anywhere, was not allowed to be alone with her. I think Sarah Michelle Gellar, I think she said it, her and Elijah Dushku also said it best, where Sarah Michelle Gellar said, look, I stand behind her. I will always respect and love Buffy Summers. But yeah, some things were not great on that set. Elijah Dushku came out and said, hey, I'm very saddened to hear what had happened. I didn't know, but now I'll never forget. So it's inspiring that they're banding together. Listen, I feel, as a fan for Joss Whedon, it kind of taints like his reputation for creativity and for his writing and for what kind of entertainment he's provided. I'll watch Buffy again under a different lens, realizing that it wasn't the best of sets, so to speak, to work on. They were great shows. It doesn't appear as if Joss is going to be working anytime soon.
No.
So, which, again, there has to be some semblance of accountability for what you've done. And Buffy, I know, was such a long time ago, but obviously Charisma Carpenter is still dealing with those demons. And if this was her way and she has these other people backing her up in such a way, that was my difference between the Justice League. There didn't seem to be a ton of people coming to Ray Fisher's, there weren't a ton of people really coming to his defense on what he was saying, including Warner Brothers. So this is going to be looked into a lot. And, I don't know what to say. It's as being a fan of Joss Whedon for so many years, because I really do believe he's provided such entertainment for me, whether it be on television or at the movies. It's shocked and it saddens me. I feel bad for Charisma Carpenter. I feel bad for Michelle Trachtenberg. It's tough. It's tough, and they had to remain quiet. And I'm sure while they were doing their publicity, obviously you're not talking about this. But they banded together as a Buffy family, which that is inspiring.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the interesting thing that happened between this and Justice League, right? So, one person came out for this, and then all of a sudden, everyone within a matter of hours, right? We were literally just watching the stories kind of unfold, where Sarah Michelle Gellar comes out and she basically says, I love this character. I want to be remembered. I want to be remembered for this character, but I don't want to be remembered for working with Joss Whedon or something along those lines. And I mean, to me, that speaks volumes in itself. Without even saying anything that it went down. The fact that you said you don't want to be associated with someone's name.
Right.
That's all you need to know.
Yeah.
But what's fascinating about this compared to the Justice League thing, and you and I talked about this, and I think you were a little bit stronger of opinion on this than I was, where Ray Fisher obviously was a new actor. Justice League was kind of like was going to be his big project into hopefully fame and fortune. And I think when we heard about these allegations originally, and there was not a lot of people backing him up, it sort of just felt like, when we talked about this, like maybe it was just a disagreement, that they didn't see eye to eye on things and things of that nature. But for me, what made me, and I always kind of had doubts, because I did hear that Joss Whedon was a dick to people in press and working on set. So I have heard that, being in the industry for 20 years, that he's not the greatest person to work with. So I was already a little bit more on Ray Fisher's side, even though I didn't have all the information available. But when Kirstie Clemens came out, and then Jason Momoa came out, and they were like, we support him, I was kind of like, oh shit's real. And then it's interesting, because I don't know if it was a fearful move on Gal Gadot's part, and I bring this up just because I think it's good conversation to have, because she's attached to Wonder Woman, right? And this all kind of happened right when Wonder Woman 2 was in the talks of coming out. So she had to walk a very fine line of what she could say against Warner Brothers, knowing that the movie was coming out, and then how she felt. I wouldn't be surprised that in the next couple upcoming weeks, as we move closer to the Zack Snyder version of Justice League coming out, that she starts speaking out more, and that other people speak out more, because it's going to be brought up in the conversation at the press days or whatever the stuff happens. I mean, they're going to try to censor it, but people are going to bring it up. Yeah,
which is, I don't know how I feel about that. It's a double-edged sword. You know that they're going to. I would just rather let's focus on this 4-hour epic, and I don't want to. I'm not saying you sweep it under a rug, but you don't want it to go away from Zack Snyder's work, because obviously he wasn't there. When this happened, and he was given this fantastic opportunity to recut, reshoot, put together his vision, and this will take away from it. And if I were Zack Snyder, of course, I'm going to side with my actors, but what am I going to do? It puts him in an awkward position, I think, that because he wasn't there. This wasn't his choice. He had bigger fish to fry. And I will feel bad if it takes away from what he was trying to do.
This is honestly, this is literally a documentary in the making, okay? Because this whole Zack Snyder Justice League, talk about a production. We always talk about cursed productions in Hollywood. Holy shit. The level of detail that has went into this, from unexpected personal things that happened in Zack Snyder's life to Warner Brothers, meddling in with his films that have been now in a conversation, that they did it with Birds of Prey, and they did it with Suicide Squad, and they did with his other movies. There's so much stuff here to be focused, and then you have allegations for Joss Whedon and abuse, and this is and now you have it, and I agree with you. I want to say that I want Zack Snyder to have his moment. I really he earned it at this point. Let him have his moment.
Yes.
But it's I don't know how you handle this, because you want to not sweep it underneath the rug, but you kind of want to give it a month off so he can have his month of promotion and celebration of, I did this. I finally got to put out the movie I wanted.
And let's think about this. It's so rare in Hollywood that you're able to do that.
I know.
and now this poor guy, it's just, you're right. It seems like it was snake bit.
Yeah.
And look, if the publicists say this is off topic, you'd have to, okay, I understand. And I want the focus to be on Zack Snyder and his content. This is not sweeping whatever happened with Joss Whedon under the rug. That can be, you can focus on that and talk about that just a little later. Let this guy, let him live. Let him be happy. He was given an opportunity that very few are ever given in Hollywood to do, and he was happy to do it. Happy, he's thrilled to death. I've seen the interviews. Let him do it and judge the product as you would a movie, whether you like it or dislike it. But he should be like held like for what he's done creatively, not for what happened where he literally had zero control. Yeah, it's tough. One thing going back to Buffy the Vampire Slayer that I find interesting is that Allison Hannigan has yet to say anything. And the men of Buffy, whether it be like Nicholas Zander, I believe is his name, Anthony Head, and
whoever
the
played
gentleman,
Angel. David
Boreanaz, and the gentleman who played Spike, who I love, but I can't Masters. We haven't heard from them, but particularly Allison Hannigan, who was part of the original Scooby Gang, so to speak. It will be interesting to see what comes out going forward.
And I want to say that, and we'll move on from this topic right after this, but the thing that I find fascinating is that hush hush from Warner Brothers right now. I mean, if I was Warner Brothers right now, there should have been like an immediate we apologize to Ray Fisher, because of the fact that obviously now there's other people who are backing this up. It's like, maybe we were wrong, maybe we didn't do enough research. I mean, that's kind of weird from a company perspective, and I wouldn't be surprised if in the next couple of weeks, depending on how well Justice League does, if we don't hear about a Cyborg movie now being greenlit as almost like an apology, because it's like that might be what comes out of this too. And and who knows, maybe Zack Snyder will get another job from Warner Brothers that he didn't expect to have just because of their rapport.
Yeah, well, I think Zack Snyder is entrenched at Warner Brothers. He should not catch any shrapnel. I don't think Zack Snyder is going to catch any shrapnel for this. I think he's insulated enough for this. We'll see, because they already, if I'm correct, and you DC fans will let me know, but I believe they already took Cyborg out of The Flash, which that character was supposed to be in, I believe. So it's going to be really interesting to see how Warner Brothers, it's going to be, it's from an ego perspective. That means they have to say we were wrong. And we know how much Hollywood just loves saying they were wrong. So they never, it's funny. I always think about that. Whenever you mention something like that, the number one thing I think about is that Jesse Smollett case. Yeah.
Where everyone in Hollywood, right? I was at Sundance. I'll never forget it. Every screening I went to, they're like, I just want to bring up, the horrible thing that happened. And everyone, and then when it went the other way and it wasn't the way it was initially posed, nobody said anything. No one came out and said anything. It was just kind of oh shit, we didn't say that, right? Delete that clip, guys. PR people, make sure you never get rid of every clip that I said something about that.
Right. They had, it was talked about for about 10 minutes. After, he actually staged it. Whoops. And then we figured it, but then everything just kind of went away. I'm not sure the Joss Whedon stuff is going to go away anytime soon. So stay tuned.
Yeah.
Stay tuned to Trending in Hollywood.
We'll talk about it when it breaks.
Yes.
All right. So we're switching over to good old Disney. They had some nice news to share yesterday. So Disney Plus numbers are looking mighty fine there. 94.9 million subs in Q1, which is terrific for Disney, of course. Probably Mandalorian, funny enough, that ties into this, had something to do with that, as well as WandaVision and probably Hamilton as well.
I also think
yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Forgive me.
No, I was just going to say, I was going to ask you, what do you think? I mean, we've had a lot of conversations about streaming services.
Yeah, I mean, streaming obviously is the way to go during this pandemic. I think what's very fascinating to note about this is that as far as Disney Plus streaming goes, all of their freebie promos are done. So I believe that a lot of these subs are people paying, like, right off the bat. Yeah. I think I got it free for a year because I was a Verizon customer. I just started paying again at the end of last year. I think it was like November. So all of these subs for this quarter, I think I think a lot of it came down. They're all paying customers. I think they're done with their promotions. So Mandalorian, of course, WandaVision, of course, and also for just, as we talked about, all their family entertainment that they have. They've been great at promoting that stuff. And when you go on a Disney Plus, you could scroll through all of it. It's a trip down memory lane for me. It's a nostalgia-thon, and that's why I have it. I love Disney. I grew up on Disney animated and the live action. So I think for families, it makes sense. I'm not surprised because of that brand name. Not surprised at all.
Yeah, I mean, I think, Netflix obviously still, the strongest candidate of all the streaming services. And I think if you still, even with shows like WandaVision and Mandalorian, I still think if you polled the majority of people, they would still say, if they had to have one or the other, they would still say Netflix. But I think Disney would rank number 2 on that list because of what you said, catalogs of classic titles, Pixar, and then you have Star Wars, which has a huge fan base, and Marvel, which has a huge fan base. So and they know that, right? Like, so it's fascinating to me because Disney has put out so many, Disney Plus has put out so much content that is really towards families, right? But you really hear nothing about it because the reality is that that's not the stuff that people within the industry talk about, right? Like you have Flora and Ulysses coming out, and like we did a press conference, and I did an interview for that, and it'll have a shelf life of probably like 48 to 72 hours, right? But families will watch it, like my nieces, will watch it and they'll love it and they'll watch it on repeat and they'll think it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. But it won't be in our conversation, right? The things that are in our conversation in what we cover is going to be Mandalorian. It's going to be Marvel, WandaVision. Yeah. So it's funny because I think Disney has a very good handle on that. I think I will give them credit that they know the type of content that to put out there and really, really push. And then they have, again, using their mommy bloggers and all the stuff that they're known for, they focus their family content on that because that they know that's a core audience for it. So I give them credit because, like, Netflix to me, one thing I love Netflix, but one thing that I can't stand about Netflix is the fact that, like, they don't know how to market anything. Like, they don't know how to market their awards movies. They don't know how to market their TV shows. They don't know what's going to be hit, what's not going to be a hit. They have, like, no clue. Like, it's like a bunch of, like, content that they don't realize what they have. Like, I don't think they knew Bridgerton was going to be as big as it was. No. I don't think they knew it. Just like they didn't know Tiger King was going to be a huge hit.
Or Bird Box.
Yeah, they just don't know.
Yeah.
But Disney knows, right? Like, that's the thing. Disney knows, like, hey, Flora and Ulysses is not going to be a huge hit, right? But it's going to be a huge play with families. Let mommy bloggers cover it. We'll do a little bit of a promotion for, like, regular press who wants Disney coverage and yada, yada, yada. But focus on WandaVision, focus on Mandalorian, focus on what stuff we know is going to sell to a much wider, broader audience.
Right. I think there's another difference that that nobody really talks about. Maybe people don't even notice.
Yeah.
But what's the main difference for when you first click on? So you go into whatever thing, whether it's Apple TV or Xbox, however you get into your apps for streaming services. And I'm just going to use Netflix, Amazon, and Disney Plus as my example here.
Sure.
What is the main thing that is on when you first click Netflix, when you first click Amazon Prime? What pops up that is non-existent on Disney Plus when you click on that? It is who's watching. Is this kids or is this adults? Like Netflix has that. Is this the kids? Like, is this restricted? Disney doesn't have that because they're eponymous right now with family. Like this isn't really the Disney of the 80s, which I truly miss, by the ways. Like they've really entrenched themselves for family entertainment. This is the modern day version of the Disney Channel. So they can have Mickey Mouse Club and Mickey Mouse and things about the Disney parks. They can do Mulan. They could do WandaVision, Marvel. They know that these are things that families can watch together and enjoy. So I think it's a safe thing for when a mother who more than likely is making these decisions, like what are we going to pay for as a subscription that my young kids are able to watch, that we could do together and have fun. When you say Disney, you go, yeah, okay, it's $12.99 a month, because that's something safe for them to watch, and we could do it together as a family, and I'm not going to be embarrassed, so to speak. So yeah.
I mean, I think they were very happy, I'm sure, Disney, with the earnings, considering the fact that, they had a pretty rough year last year they had a whole bunch of controversy with Milan. Also the controversy of actually putting that on Disney Plus as opposed to putting it in theaters, and all the backlash that happened with that. And then their whole mindset with, putting certain things for a fee, certain things for free. And that was interesting, because that was the most interesting takeaway I took from that article. And it was by Bob Chapek, who said, some films we will take theatrically, some films we'll take to Disney Premier Access, and in some cases we will take them directly to Disney Plus. It's really about flexibility. We're going to steer our decision-making over time, given the needs of our subscriber base. Out of all the studios, I want to say this before we go into this conversation. Out of all the studios that do this, Disney, I think, is the most risky, because with Disney, you have that brand name that automatically gets butts in seats, right? Like it's like if it has the Disney name splattered across it, there's an audience that's going to see it no matter what in theaters. The problem, unlike the other studios, where obviously a Tom and Jerry going to a movie theater versus a Kong versus Godzilla, to me, there's a no-brainer of which one you would push more to a theatrical and which one you would push more to a streaming. But for Disney, it's hard. And I feel like they're doing this really weird thing right now, because they have Mulan, where they pushed for that $29.99 price point. Right. They put Soul for free, which seemed almost like, and it's weird because they all do. I hate to say this because I'm not like this, but they all deal with different minority groups. So you literally have an Asian-led movie that they're saying we need to pay money. Black movie you don't need to pay money for. And then we have another Asian movie coming out where you're going to pay money for. I there's been a lot of conversation in our little film bubble and film Twitter about this and like kind of what the statement that makes. But it is kind of weird of like what they've chosen to try to charge money for and what they haven't. Because to my knowledge, the budget on Soul and the budget on Mulan were about the same.
They were big, yeah. Uh-huh.
So I don't really know what was the rationale behind charging 30 for one and nothing for another.
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised that they were going that route, but Soul, my guess, they knew that Wonder Woman 84 was going to HBO Max that same weekend, and just to stay competitive, I'm not sure they would have had as many eyeballs on Soul had you had to pay $30 to see it. That's the only rationale that I can kind of think of there. Again, look, I ain't paying $30 for anything, nothing, especially if I ain't owning a physical copy of it. I didn't do it for Mulan. I just waited until it was free. And when I saw it, I said, wow, this would have looked so great on the big screen. Raya and the Last Dragon seems like it's going to be this beautiful, wonderful movie.
Yep.
I ain't paying $30 for it, but I'm also not paying $30 for Black Widow. If that were to go directly to the Disney Plus premiere, I'm not I have a hard time living alone to spend. I don't care if it's a 2-day rental or what. It's not going to happen. I'll wait till it's on free on on Disney Plus. $30 for me is a high price point.
Yeah, I think it's interesting
to not own it.
That's and that's a fascinating point that we've also talked about in the past. It's like it's much different when you talk about a $30 price point for one person or even a couple at some point, right? Because like if you're paying $30 to watch a movie like Raya, if it's for two of you, it's like $15 each. It's like the cost of a movie ticket if you went out. So it's kind of like a break even, but you don't get that experience, right? You don't get the night out. It's just kind of like, we're just watching something else on the couch, honey. Here we are.
Yeah.
If you're single and you're watching something alone, like $30, like it must be something like, to me, to chalk out $30 for something, you must really want to see it. Or like has to be like something really exclusive that's part of like a film festival. Like it's a premiere that you don't know when this movie's ever going to come out again. Sure. But I know you even have a disagreement with that because you said at Sundance, like you wouldn't even pay a premium to watch certain things when not knowing that you would never see them again, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, again, if I'm not owning the physical copy of it for that price and I'm just sitting at home watching it on my couch. Look, I love my home sound. I love my home theater system to death. Okay. I can boast about it. I think it's really cool. I love it, but still it's not going to take away going to the movies and to spend $30 on something that I know is going to be on Disney Plus. I mean, in a few months. It wasn't that long. It wasn't that long of a window from when Mulan first went at that Disney premiere price to when it was for free. And that first weekend it was for free. I watched it. And I was like, yeah, I didn't pay. I didn't need to. So, I'm hoping that movies like Black Widow, Kong vs. Godzilla, No Time to Die, all these big tentpoles that I'm really looking forward to. If they're gonna make me pay $30,
well, let me ask you this question, right? So,
sure,
I know what you're saying. Again, even as a single person, if you go into a movie theater, right, your price is cut in half, right? So, like, let's say the average movie ticket price is probably like $14 now, right? $14, $15.
Sure.
Right. Or maybe I'm thinking of like IMAX, whatever. It's somewhere between $10 and $15.
Absolutely.
So for a single person to pay $30 for a movie at home, not get the experience, but get to watch it from the comfort of their house and like they can spread it out, pause it, whatever. For a single person, I don't know if it's worth it. I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of so programmed and committed to this industry that if I want to see it, I mean, I've been known to pay $60, $70 to see something at Toronto or Sundance. Like, because to me, if I want to see it bad enough, I'm going to pay to see it. I know also I'm a fucking weirdo for saying that. Because
but think about this though, right?
Yeah.
Think about this for a second. You are at a film festival. You are at an event. That event is not unlike going to a concert. That is something where you are paying to be part of that event. They're not just showing a movie at the local theater. Like it's a big event. It's a movie that could get some good praise. There's a difference between paying, because I don't think you would pay $60 to go see a movie even in a Dolby theater.
Right, that's true.
You know?
Yeah.
You wouldn't. But if you're at an event, you know, I would think twice about it. I'd go, okay, well, I'm here in Toronto. It's part of the film festival. There's an excitement and a buzz. Yes, you could do that. Even for Star Wars, you know, when they're doing these premieres and maybe the money goes to some charity or something, it's an event. I get that. But to watch it at home for $60, to watch it at home for $30 by myself, as great as my sound system is, I want to get my ass off the couch. And I know we're coming to that someday soon. But I don't know. I have a hard time, especially if I'm not owning the product.
Yeah.
Like because I do still buy Blu-ray. So I will spend $20, $25 or so for the physical content of a movie. I did it so rare that I do this where I buy something sight unseen, but I did it for Tenet. Like, I'm not going to rent Tenet on VOD. I'll just buy it. I'll take my chances of, you know, whether I love it or hate it, but I have the physical content. I could do with it what I want and watch it as many times or not watch it as many times as I want. But
and if not, you have a very nice looking coaster there. That
absolutely I do. Sure thing. And I can drink it forwards and backwards. It can look like I'm drinking it or spitting it back in my glass when it comes to Tenet.
But no, I agree. You know, I think this is an important conversation to have just simply because of the fact that when you price something out, if you're a family of four, paying $30 to watch Raya is fine. Like that's the reality. Like, cause like you break that down, it's like $7 each. It's not that bad. And what you couldn't even get, a family of four couldn't go to a movie theater for that. And then, you know, when you have families also with snacks and all that stuff that go along with it. So, so that's no brainer. So I almost feel like Disney needs to have, and I know there's no way of doing this on the streaming services, which is part of the problem, which is probably why HBO just went the same date of like theatrical versus like watching it on HBO Max, because there's no way to kind of find that happy medium, because you don't know how many people are going to be watching. Because if you ask someone, oh, how many people are going to watch this, and you put one and you get it for $10,
right?
Everyone's going to put one. There's not like there's going to be a secure, not yet at least. We're almost at that point where Amazon will have something in the house telling us, it's like, okay, Scott, Ashley is in the house with you right now, and so is Teddy and Tarzan. There is 4 people going to be, you know, 2 animals and 2 people will be watching this.
We're going to screw the... Yeah.
We're getting to that point. I'm telling you. You think that Alexa device that I have in every room of my freaking house is not like listening to this right now, sending to Jeff Bezos? He's like, oh, that's a good idea. Let's do that right away.
Yeah, thanks, Scott.
Yeah,
thanks.
You're welcome. I'm, paranoid.
Yeah. That's a great idea. Yeah.
But the thing is, no, but they have no way to control that, right? So like there's either like you have to figure out a $20 price point, $30 price point, $7 price point, but $7 price point, like when you look for a movie like Becky, which is like a small independent movie that costs like $1 million versus a $200 million movie like Raya, you can't charge the same amount for those movies. So I think there's a lot of conversation and a lot of playing that's going to happen over the next couple of months and the next couple of years, where there's going to have to be a fee for quality, like really standout content, especially with streaming being what it is. but they're going to have to find that sweet spot. I don't think they found that sweet spot yet. They don't know what the price point is.
No, they don't. But I also think that once we start to seep back into a semblance of normalcy, that what we remember about going out, period, whether it's a restaurant, bar, Disneyland, the movies,
right?
That's going to become less of an issue because people will just go back to the movies and they're not going to pay. I can't imagine as a film, as a lover of the movie going experience.
Yeah.
Where I'm vaccinated, I feel safe. I can't wait to go back to the movie theater. If somebody's coughing, I'll still say F you, but hey, I'm vaccinated, buddy. I will go to the movies with my AMC stubs, and I'm not going to pay $30 to watch it at home. I'm not going to pay $30 regardless, but, I'm not, if they put it day and date, well, screw you and your $30. I'm going to the movies.
Well, that's an interesting point, right? So is it the fact that studios haven't come up with their own streaming version of a movie pass, of an AMC stubs, where like they can release certain content on this premium and you have the option of paying that special rate, that fixed rate, or you can kind of buy a package price where you get, like, let's say for $100 a year, you get access to one of the premium content movies a month.
Maybe. I mean, maybe they do that. I mean, but they already have a subscription for you to go to the library. I guess that's the other thing that kind of bothers me.
Yeah, it's like paying on top of paying for something. Yeah.
It's like you already got me paying $12.99. Netflix is $15.99. Oh, by the way, speaking of Netflix, I actually know somebody fairly well who still gets DVDs.
I know. You told
from
me that
Netflix.
I was like, what?
I was like, I didn't think they did that anymore, but they do. But you're already paying a subscription fee, and then you're going to ask me to pay more. That kind of gets that kind of gets under my skin too. I guess if you raise the price, give people the option to say, well, you can pay $12.99 and get our basic. And if you want to see the premium movie, or you spend $19.99, that puts you into Disney Plus Premiere. Look, I'm not sure I like that idea. Strike that from the record. Disney Chapek, I hope you didn't hear that.
No, he
but
heard
I think people would do it.
He's actually working on it right now. There's a press release coming tomorrow.
Yeah, but I think people would probably do that. But once...
Why do you think that's a bad idea? I actually think that's a
I don't think it's a bad idea, but I feel that once we're able to get back outside again, we're going to opt to go out again.
Sorry,
go ahead.
No. I was just going to say, the one thing that you and I will always disagree on this is that I love going to the movies. Yes. Do not get me wrong. I know that, like, movies I don't even like, I would prefer to see them in the theater because I would focus on them and give them the attention they deserve.
And they're harder to walk out on.
Yeah, and I'm not going to pause it and, like, I'll watch it. I'll suffer through it, knowing that I probably won't like it. Like, I disclosed this. I'm sure Yash is actually in the chat. You remember Yash from Meet the Movie Press? He's actually watching the show today. So thank you, Yash, for tuning in. But there's certain genres where I just don't like. I don't like war movies.
Right.
We've talked about this.
Yep.
But if I was watching a war movie at home, I would struggle with it. I would pause it. It would probably take me multiple days to watch it. If I was going to watch it in the movie theater, I'll sit down and I'll watch it once. And that's it.
That's it.
The thing is of having those subscription fees and having streaming. You're always going to have streaming, Demetri. I know.
Always.
I know. Always going to be people who are going to prefer going to the movies. It's going to happen. I know it's like we love it, but there is a big audience that actually prefers to stay at home and watch movies. There is.
I don't doubt it, because that's why That's how VHS and DVD became so popular, especially when sell-through was invented and created. But I do still believe that we are. Who am I to talk for everybody else? I'm tired of staying in my house. Okay, and if people agree with me, let me know. I can't wait to get back out. And go to the movies. Here in LA County, theaters are still closed. Not that I would necessarily go right now, but after I'm vaccinated, absolutely. And I'm looking forward to that day. I can't wait till they reopen my AMC Stubs program, because I thought that was a great idea. And I think people are going to... I think people are going to go back out again. IMAX even builds personal home theaters for $400,000. Oh, you know what? I want one for my living room and my bedroom. I can use the bedroom for weekends. It's a great $400,000. Yeah, okay. Sign me up. I will be in the lifelong payment plan. And even when I'm dead, they're still going to be coming after me for the money.
Yeah, so the guy who runs Disney can get one made for his house. He has no problem, Bob. He can have it.
Oh,
he probably has one in every room.
Oh, if you're in Bristol, Tennessee, that's the cost of a house.
Yeah.
So, it's easy to get. But I don't know. I think people are going to go back, and then they're going to have to rethink. They're going to have to look at the numbers. And if they continue a $30 price point, once movies go back, and somebody is going to make that experiment. I don't think the experiment's valid now. Just because you go day and date and you have theatrical and you have it at home, half the theaters aren't open.
Right.
So it's not a good experiment. But once everything opens back up again, you want to try it, go ahead. Those results, I'd be super curious to know about.
Well, I mean, we can use Wonder Woman as a good example for this, because if you look at the box office here in the States, it was almost the same as Tenet here in the States, and it actually went on Warner Brothers HBO Max streaming platform and played in the theatrical. So I think there is a demand. I think at the end of the day, my feeling towards this is, there's always going to be movies that people are going to pay money to see in a theater, no matter what. Even if every single studio decides to go digital and theater same day, there's always going to be a core group of people who are going to see, like, the Avengers movie. We're going to go out with our buddies. It's going to be a big event. We're all going to go. But there's going to always be also those people, just like with every movie, where people are going to be like, I'll wait for Blu-ray, right? And now they can just say, I'll wait for streaming.
They'll wait for streaming, but they're not going to pay $30 for a horror movie or like Freaky. And again, I miss the fact that I couldn't see Freaky in a movie theater with a crowd. It just didn't have the same effect. I'm not going to pay I'm not paying $30 for anything, as I stated up top. To watch, like, even Freaky, to pay $30 for, I don't know how that would ever be for me personally. It's not justifiable. So it's just going to be very interesting.
That people pay that much money to go to a drive-in?
I think it's a way to get the hell out of the house and just do something different. And get out and like watch
it, right? Like there are some people during this now, right, who have been so dedicated to the drive-in theater. And I went to the drive-in a few times, and I went to the one at the Rose Bowl and a few of the other ones. To me, the experience was radically different in every single one I went to. And I wouldn't say that outside of seeing New Mutants at the Rose Bowl, which I paid something ridiculous like $45 to see.
Right.
And it was me and Ashley in a car. Like, now I'm like looking at it, like, I appreciated that experience because, like you said earlier, it kind of tied into like the Toronto experience. I got out of the house. It was weird. It was like a bunch of cars. I got to see people. I got to eat food from food trucks and stuff like that. So it was sort of an experience. But when I went to a traditional drive-in, it was nice to get out of the house. But I was kind of like, I drove to this drive-in. It was like 45 minutes there, 45 minutes back. The sound was kind of iffy. The video quality wasn't that great. Like, I was like, I don't know. And I haven't been back since. Like, Freaky was actually the last movie I saw in a drive-in. And that's the reason why I brought this up. But I know, like, people like Heather Wixom in our organization have been going regularly. They literally, Kevin Taft, they go almost like every weekend or every other weekend. And I don't. It's fascinating how everyone's costs is different. Like, right, like they're what they value.
Yeah, and I also think though, there's a distance. I don't know how close or far away they are from a drive-in. Yeah. I also believe that today it does afford an opportunity to get out and have some semblance of the movie-going experience. There's also the kitsch factor. We were talking about drive-ins. I mean, drive-ins have never really disappeared at all. And they've done their part to stay relevant by switching from film to digital, which is a really big undertaking, I'll have you know. But they've always been there. It's only because we've been stuck in this pandemic that they become popular again. And I just think that people are looking to get out. You had to travel outside of, well, even the Rose Bowl for you, if I'm correct, was somewhat of a commute. And then I don't know how far away the other drive-in was from you, but I don't have anything that's like 10 minutes away. Movie theaters are
I know
all over.
I literally go like it where I live, and I live in Ventura County. Mm-hmm. I literally can go 10 minutes one way. I can go to a Regal. I can go 10 minutes another way. I have my choice between a Regal and an AMC. If I go 20 minutes, I'm open up to like probably like 15 more choices. Yeah. When it comes to drive-ins, it's literally like a drive to get to the drive-in. And I'm like literally talking at a bare minimum about 40 minutes up to an hour. And that is if without traffic. Right. And it does feel special. And I guess that kind of answers my own question. It feels special when you're seeing something in a special venue.
Right.
Like when it was at the Rose Bowl, what I loved about it was like they took up, the Rose Bowl. Like it was literally like you went to a huge parking lot. They had a DJ playing. There was a huge, the screen was better than a movie theater screen. Like it was so crystal clear and beautiful. I mean, for a movie that's as mediocre as New Mutants is, watching that, it was like, God, it was a gorgeous movie just looking at it.
Right.
But again, the experience of going there, seeing it, having the live music, having the food trucks, it played a role. Going to like a regular drive-in where it's like crappy audio, sitting there, some asshole next to me is outside smoking, talking out my window. I can't see that. Oh, look, here's the lights over here from the skylights blurring in my eyes, distracting me. Oh, the car turned off because the sound goes off every 20 minutes because the car doesn't idle that long. All these factors, like you kind of look at it and kind of say, an hour of time on top of paying money to not really get a non-distracted, engagement of a theater experience. It's like, it's a lot. I don't know. Like I get the reason of wanting to get out of the house, but unless like it's a really a special event where like Freaky was at Beyond Fest and it was a festival, so you felt like it was the first time you were seeing it. Same with New Mutants. But to go there to go see the frickin' Goonies, I don't know. Like I don't feel of it. I really
and it's very comforting to know that people are as obnoxious and as disruptive at a drive-in as they are in a movie theater.
Yeah.
So Terry from London. I'm in London and surrounded by cinemas in central London. I love cinema, but I'm not going anytime soon. Even if they were open, which they aren't. Would like to try out a drive-in, but not regularly. See, Terry. Number one, thanks for tuning in and thanks for finding us, even all the way across the pond. That's very kind of you to do. But that's exactly, I think, what we're touching upon, right? We can't wait to go back to the theaters, but when it's safe. Scott, you could tell your story because you did drive. Yeah. You did commute to go see Tenet. Right. From where you are, you went to Irvine.
Yep.
Which for you
I drove an hour and a half to see Tenet.
An hour and a half.
An hour and a half each way to see Tenet. And in the theater, they were like ill prepared at best. Obviously, the concession stands were not up and running properly. Everyone seemed very scattered-brained about it. And in the theater, half people were wearing masks, half the people weren't. Luckily, there was only 10 people in the theater, so I literally sat in the corner. And I didn't feel unsafe or anything because I was so far away. But just the experience of having to commute that far to see something, and unfortunately, it was Tenet.
Right.
It only made matters worse. Like, that's what I don't think people realize. For average goers, like we're crazy as critics, as cinema lovers, right? Well, we'll watch pretty much anything.
Sure.
The average person, if you had to like give them the opportunity to drive an hour, they're not going to do it. They don't want to do it. I mean, like maybe for Black Panther, but like
maybe
like one in like 5 movies a year at most.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just think that experience was very strange. I felt like the theater had no idea what they were doing. Obviously, people wanted to be treated as a regular experience where they were eating their popcorn and with their masks off and stuff like that. I would recommend it if it was like, I would probably have went back if it was like 5 minutes away, like Demetri says. But like when you add the time into things, it's just not worth it. And the uncertainty of not knowing who's in the theater with you.
Right. And I've said this before, even before COVID, like if I was in a theater and somebody is like coughing and sneezing next to me, I'm like, get the F away from me. Yeah. Like, and that was like, I would always like, my shoulders would be like, just stop. Just go cough that way or cover your mouth, cough in your popcorn bucket, stop. Or just, why did you come out if you are sick? Now with COVID, it's a little bit different. So until I really feel safe, and it's my philosophy for everything, movies, restaurants, I'm nervous and uncomfortable eating outdoors even.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what everybody else is doing, but I do believe that the movie experience is coming back. Here in the States, the vaccine's ramping up. My parents have gotten it. My best friend, who's a first responder, I know he's gotten it. One of my neighbors has gotten it. So more and more we're feeling this. And, I just hope that for the sake of everybody, that there's a sense of normalcy so that we can get back to our social lives. And as people who review movies, I miss screenings, but I miss going to the movies. And I think it'll happen. So... yeah, there we go.
I guess to end on that, I mean, this is a good takeaway, seriously, and I 100% agree with it.
Yep. And Terry, no film is worth the risk to your life, and I agree 100%. I've said this. I don't care if it's a Star Wars movie or James Bond, which I can't wait to see. There's no movie that I want to risk going to. It also affects the movie going experience. I don't want to be nervous. And all I think is the air circulation is not that much better than what you get when you're in an airplane.
Yeah.
So it'll come back. It will come back. Our lives will slow. I do honestly believe that. And when it does, we're going to be happier. Streaming will still be a part of our lives. That barn door is open. And even I have, I've come to admit it's a part of our lives. It ain't going anywhere. But I will still opt to go see it on a big screen whenever possible.
I'm down for the Ted Lasso screening.
Oh, me too. Me too. He deserves a movie.
Yeah, I mean, I can literally like sit through that. Like, just give me a 4-hour Ted Lasso, put all the episodes together. I'll watch that in a movie theater too.
Oh, me too.
Yeah, 100%.
We have to hashtag Jason Sudeikis.
Yeah, let's bring it back. All right. Well, thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Trending in Hollywood. We'll be back next Friday. Just a warning.
Thursday.
No, we'll be back on Friday. We're going to record on Thursday.
Oh, okay.
We're actually filming aspects of the HCA Film Awards that day on Friday. So virtual, so we have to kind of film some stuff. So some of that stuff's going to be filming, so we're not going to be able to do this show live. So it will stream live, which is so confusing, on Friday, but it will be pre-recorded and shot on Thursday.
As in the industry, they say live to tape.
Live to tape. There you go. Thank you, Demetri. All right. Thanks for watching. If you like this show, please like, share the video, tweet, let us know. We'll be excited to talk about topics next week, and we'll see you in the future.
And thank the folks that watched us
live
today.
Tara, thank you, and Yash, both of which I believe actually watched us when we were on Meet the Movie Press. So thank you so much for finding us and tracking us down over here at HCA Network.
It means a lot, and it's very sweet. And thanks for being part of the conversation. Scott, as always, thank you.
All right, no problem. I'll talk to everyone later. Have a good night.
Okay.
Bye.